Good morning, Woodmoor. Good morning. It's so great to see all of you on this beautiful morning. I'm Brennan Lindsay, and I want to welcome you to our fourth successful Woodmoor Pride. We are so fortunate to live in this amazing neighborhood and one that is so supportive of our LGBTQ plus neighbors and community. I'd like to take a little time this morning to talk about what has happened since initiating a Pride Parade in Woodmoor. Neighbors have told us that after seeing the large numbers of participants at these parades, that they now feel more comfortable holding the hands of their spouse while going for a walk. Neighbors have said that they chose to buy a house in Woodmoor because they saw all the pride flags that neighbors put in their front yards to show their support. That's great. Neighbors have told us that seeing the pride flag on the community flagpole makes them feel at home. And parents have told us how much it means for their children to know that this community accepts them and that Woodmoor is a safe place to grow up. I'd like you to take a moment for you all to let that sink in. This parade has created an awareness that has made people feel more safe and welcome where they live. To feel comfort and a sense of belonging where they may not have felt that before in other neighborhoods, or even this neighborhood in years past. It's not an exaggeration to say that the impacts of this small, hyper-local parade have been life-changing for some people. So we invite you to think about the impacts this one day has had on the LGBTQ plus community in Woodmoor. And we encourage you to explore additional ways that we can support our neighbors and members of the community the other 364 days of the year. Your being here makes a difference. Your speaking up and speaking out makes a difference. And we must ask ourselves, how else can we make a positive difference? Thank you, and welcome to Woodmoor Pride.
I'm Lisa Pfeiffer, one of the other organizers for today. I identify as a straight, white, bossy Jewish lady. And I have two wonderful children, one whatever, and a beautiful transgender daughter. And we want to start out today with a few words from Val Carranza. She is the Chief of Staff for our County Council Person at Large, Evan Glass. And one of the reasons we were inspired to start flying a pride flag in our neighborhood was because of the work that Val and Evan did to put the pride flag up around our community at government buildings. And also Evan's the first openly LGBTQ plus county council person we've ever had. So he blazed that trail. Unfortunately, he could not be here himself today, but we have Val in his stead, and she's going to give us a few words now.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. I'm Val Carranza, Chief of Staff for Councilmember Evan Glass, the county's first LGBTQ council member. 6 years ago, for the very first time in Montgomery County government, we decided, we wanted to show visibility right throughout the county. And so we rose the pride flag for the first time ever in the county's history. So this was only 6 years ago. And as soon as that pride flag went up, because it was such a historic and momentous occasion, NBC News actually covered the event. So you all know NBC News is a national news outlet. And what that meant was that we started receiving hate messages from across the country. So we received tweets and phone calls and emails and messages telling us to bring down the flag. We refused. We kept the pride flag up, and not only did we keep the pride flag up, but we doubled the number of pride events throughout the county. And we have continued doubling and enhancing the pride events throughout the county, because that is the only way that you can counter hate, is through love, through visibility, through action, and showing that throughout Montgomery County. And that is why this event in Woodmoor is so important, right? I was asked to share what the pride flag means to me, also an openly gay, queer Latina, and to Councilmember Glass. It means I'm seen. It means visibility. It means that I am welcomed and that I too belong in Montgomery County. So with that, thank you for having this event.
And not only do we have Val here with us today, we've also got our own District 5 County Council member, Kristen Mink. So can we give Kristen a round of applause for the amazing work she does for our neighborhood? Okay, and we've got 3 people from the neighborhood to share some words with us today. First up, I'd like to call Lillian Dow Patterson. She's a recent graduate of Blair High School, so she is full of all kinds of knowledge and aspirations, and she's going to share some words with us.
Hey everyone, I'm Lillian. My pronouns are she, her, and it is so great to see everyone out here today in the spirit of pride. My experience in this neighborhood with my self-expression and queer identity has not always been the most positive, so I'm really grateful to be here with all of you celebrating the start of Pride and to see all of you out here as allies and members and folks within the community yourselves. I think the political and social climate for young queer people like myself has shifted a lot over the last couple of years. I'm grateful to have a family that supports the community, but there's also this simultaneous grief and disappointment in the way many state governments and other institutions of our country treat queer people, especially queer youth. I came to terms with my identity as a lesbian about 4 years ago. I'm 18 now. So I wanted to center this around the importance of giving young people the space to experiment with their queer identity and have open conversations about who they are. The reason I was able to come to terms with my identity at such a young age is because I had parents that had conversations with me about the LGBTQ+ community and complex topics like privilege and power and intersectionality at a young age. I'm also mixed race, and that is something that also plays a big role in the way I interact with the world, and understanding my individual experience has made me feel less alone. But not everybody gets to have these conversations. My identity and intersectional experience are things that are constantly in mind when I interact with the world. These are important things to talk about with young people and just to make us feel less alone. No one should have to come to terms with who they are. They should just be who they are, and giving people the space to ask questions and learn and talk creates a more inclusive world. Being open to learning creates a more inclusive world. And a more inclusive world is a better world. People need to be willing to talk about us and read about us and learn about us, and these are the very things that are under attack in our country. The way we respond is by talking, learning, reading, and having open conversations with young people, the next generation. I felt alone before, and I felt angry and isolated, but in these moments I've always known who I am, and everyone deserves to have that. It's amazing that we have moments like Pride where we all come together to talk and learn and read and share, but it must extend outside of the month, and it must extend to uncomfortable places. I kind of want to end on a quote, which is like the classic way of ending a speech, but it's by my favorite author, James Baldwin, and I think it's something that really reflects the current times. He says, "Ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have." Thank you all so much for coming and keep being you, keep being proud, fight against ignorance, and know who you are. Thank you so much.
Good job.
So no wonder Princeton admitted her, huh? Okay, and now for our next speaker, we have someone who's one of our neighbors who also is a very talented graphic artist. She designed our Woodmoor Pride banner as well as our awesome new Woodmoor Pride shirts this week, patent pending. We are not selling them today, but if you love the shirts you're seeing, stay tuned when we put it on our next bulk order and you can get your very own. So who I'm talking about is Rachel Sondak, and she is an awesome queer bisexual mom of 2 awesome kids, and she's going to talk to us now about the importance of mental health for the queer community. Rachel!
Yeah. Hello. To say that we live in divisive times is obviously an understatement. I feel so lucky personally to live in my blue bubble where sexual orientation and gender expression are frankly non-issues. But even here in Maryland, in Silver Spring, in Woodmoor, not everyone is so lucky to have an affirming community. Thank you. And for kids growing up in unsupportive families, this can lead to tragic outcomes. According to a CDC report released late April, about 1 in 4 high school students identifies as LGBTQ. Unfortunately, LGBTQ youth are also 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than their peers. According to the Trevor Project, a staggering 41% of LGBTQ young people seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. And young people who are transgender, non-binary, and/or people of color reported higher rates than their peers. However, research is also finding that LGBTQ youth who felt their sexual orientation was accepted by at least one adult had lower odds of reporting a suicide attempt in the past year. They also found a much lowered suicide risk from people who live in a community that is affirming. Events like these are wonderful opportunities to show pride and to celebrate. But these small events are so much more important than just that. For all of us here, we know that there are some LGBTQ kids who are at home, who can't be here, who live in non-affirming homes. For these kids, knowing that neighbors support and love them, that they have a safe space to go can literally be life-saving. Just one supportive adult can have a major impact. So keep those flags flying and keep being vocal advocates. It can be all the difference.
Okay, all right. So time for a little plug. On June 15th, thank you. On June 15th, the same day as the Woodmoor yard sale, we will have our 4th annual Pride fundraising bake sale. It will be in the parking lot at Pinecrest School. You can donate baked goods to sell. I'll have a sign-up genius up tomorrow. You can come and buy baked goods. It's a donate what you like event. And if there are any of the beautiful rainbow votives left after today, we'll also have our Girl Scouts there again selling votives because the night of the 15th is our Ignite the Rainbow event in Woodmoor. Okay, so our final speaker before we start our parade is Larry Morales. Where are you, Larry? Here he comes. You may have seen Larry at all our previous events on his bike with a awesome flashing rainbow bike helmet. Larry's, you may know Larry by his other name, which is Nick Clemens' husband.
Hello, Woodmoor. What a beautiful day. I am so pleased to live in Woodmoor, a supportive community of friends and neighbors. It wasn't that long ago that I lived my life under the radar, so I would not be noticed for who I really was, a gay man. I grew up at a time when there was no internet, few or no gay characters on TV or in the movies, no out gay movie stars or athletes, no one I could look up to as a gay role model. I was raised in a small German town in central Texas where being gay brought out ridicule and the fear of being bullied. And then while in college in Lubbock, Texas, my eyes were open to others like myself. And yet I still feel the need to be careful, to not reveal my true self to those who I don't truly trust. After college, I joined the military where I graduated from basic training. I was a marksman at firing weapons, and I led my classmates to class. And I trained in a new computer administrative field. Following my training, I was located overseas to a police unit squadron. I would deploy with my squadron to various islands in the Pacific. And while in the Pacific region, I met other gay friends and we became our own family. We heard of military police witch hunts where suspected gay military members would be investigated for going to gay bars or just being gay. And unfortunately, they were discharged from the military. I kept my circle of friends small so as not to bring attention to myself. In the 1980s, I moved assignments to Stratcom in Omaha, Nebraska, where I supported the logistics team during Desert Storm and Shield. I remember when in 1993 the Clinton administration came out with the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, and I thought there was a chance I could still stay in the military and not be caught. After a few years in Omaha, Nebraska, I relocated to the Pentagon in 1996 and supported the Office of the Secretary of Defense. And during that time, I traveled with two Secretaries of Defense, Cohen and Rumsfeld, to over 25 countries as their speech transcriber. It was at this time in 1996 that I met my husband, Nick Clements, at a Woodmoor neighbor's house. Yeah, okay. I remember when I was traveling overseas that I would fax him a note to let him know I was doing okay. And I would use the code I2S2 to tell him that I missed him and loved him. Because, you know, I had to stay under the radar. I retired from the military in 2001 after 21 years of military service, and I continued to work in the Pentagon as a civilian worker. I provided logistics support to the Pentagon Police, and I worked there 18 years. And during those years at the agency, I feel I gained the respect and admiration from the police department, from the standing guard at the sentry post to the chief of police. At my retirement party during the middle of the COVID pandemic, Nicholas was invited to attend as my spouse, and he was acknowledged in a speech from the chief of police. Now, what a change from those closeted days of the 1980s and 90s. In August 2013, Nick and I were able to marry as a result of the overturning of the Defense Marriage Act by the Supreme Court. I emailed my dad, a deacon in the Catholic Church, and my sister, and said I was getting married, and I asked if they would attend the event. They did not hesitate to say yes. You should know that I never came out to my family. They just accepted me for who I was. There have been times in my life when I felt discriminated against for being gay. There is still homophobia in many parts of this country, even small pockets of it here in liberal Woodmoor. There is no such thing as indoctrinating the young. I think kids nowadays accept one for being different. They don't blink an eye when their neighbors are two men who are married to each other. We must remember gay people are so much more than just being gay. We are your friend, neighbor, co-worker, or family member. One little paragraph here. Please, let's continue Woodmoor Pride. It is a great way to show support for the gay community and to those who are figuring out their sexual orientation. I hope one day there comes a time when we don't have to say we are gay, we are just accepted. Woodmoor, because I have your support, today at 65 years old, I feel safe to say I am a gay man. And I'm happily married to my spouse, Nicholas Clements, for 11 years, together for 28 years. I'm so happy and proud to be your neighbor. Enjoy today's Pride festivities.
Thank you, Larry. Wow, we are proud to have you in our neighborhood for sure. So we have a lot of flags out here today. When we start our parade, we're going to stop halfway to put up the Progress Pride flag on our flagpole. If any of you are holding those, they're the ones with the rainbow going across and then the triangle like we have on our circle here. Shirts here with the other colors from the transgender flag, and then black and brown stripes to recognize people of color who are also queer. And I just wanted to show you another flag too that we don't see very often, but one that pretty much any one of us could hang any time of the year in Woodmoor. This is the Allies flag. You don't have to know any LGBTQ people. You don't have to live by any LGBTQ plus people to fly this flag anytime to show your support. You can get one just like this on Amazon. You can also continue to put out all the flags you got here today, not only for the rest of this month, but year-round. I cannot tell you how many times I have had complete strangers knock on my door on Rockdale, which is the tiny little dead-end street behind St. Bernadette's, and just knock on my door and say, I like your flag, or thank you for flying that flag, or I feel better walking to church when I see your flag. So it counts if you leave these flags out in your yards, on your porches, in your windows year-round. Sometimes people might rip up your flags. Sometimes they might vandalize them. That's why I always keep spares and I keep putting them back out. So on the subject of flags, we have the Ally flag and a few other large flags. If there are any people who would like to hold those during the parade, I would like to ask our 3 speakers to jointly carry another one of our Woodmoor Pride banners at the front of our parade. And we will be congregating right over there. We'll do about half of the parade route, stop at the flagpole. Kristen Mink has agreed to say a few words as we raise the flag, and then we will make our way back here. Okay, let's go, people.